After failing to win the lottery multiple times and consistently inaccurately predicting the next economic crises, I have decided to take my lack of prediction talents elsewhere. It seems like everything I try to predict, the opposite happens. But when it comes to soccer, that is not true. So today, we're going to be doing a full 2024 Copa America predictions video with a 100% accuracy rate, which means by the end of this video, you are going to be calling me the Soccer Nostradamus. Hi, if you're new here, I'm the Soccer Nostradamus, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to the best, the most accurate 2024 Copa America predictions video. And it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna go through all the groups and try to determine which teams advance to the quarterfinals, then go through the quarterfinals matchups, and then the semifinals, and then finally the final of the Copa America. We did an entire preview video for this edition, so if you want a more general information of this tournament, or a deeper dive into each national team, then go check out our video that is titled The Ultimate 2024 Copa America Preview. It has all the details you would want. Because this is a prediction video, so I won't go into depth in terms of each national team. I'm gonna go much quicker through each group. I'm not gonna go into details. This is all about my picks. With that said, we will be doing a full coverage of this tournament. Feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, and comment your predictions down below. Because if you don't do that, then you are a loser. And understand, I don't make the rules here. If you don't do any of that, you're a loser, and I totally did not make that up. So feel free to do it if you want to, and if you don't, you're a loser. Okay, roll the episode. And we're gonna go in alphabetical order, so we're gonna start with Group A. A group that has Canada, the rude Canadians, Argentina, the current World Cup champions, and then you also have Chile and Peru. And look, I'm not gonna get fancy here and try to predict, an upset saying that Argentina won't top this group. Just because if it does happen, I'll look like a genius. They are by far the best team in Group A and arguably the best team in the Copa America. As much as I hate to say it, they are the favorites. I hope Argentina loses, but this is a team that is well coached by Lionel Scaloni. They won the World Cup. They won the past edition of the Copa America against Brazil. And they also have Messi. Di Maria's in his final international tournament. Enzo Fernandez might not be 100%, but he's still a brilliant player. They have experienced players. They have young players. They have everything. They're one of the favorites to win the tournament, and they were placed in this group with Canada, Chile, and Peru that are okay. They're not great teams. Now, Chile is currently coached by Ricardo Gareca, a coach that very much knows how to make a deep run in the Copa America. We've seen that with Peru. He even made it to the final in 2019, losing to Brazil. So he could get the best out of Chile, even though their team is mostly a bunch of mediocre players and washed-up veterans like Alexis Sanchez. Peru, to me, they're in last place in World Cup qualifying. They don't have the talent. The coaching staff is not as good as the previous one with Ricardo Gareca. So to me, Peru will finish last, Argentina first, which leaves the two teams in the middle. Who will finish second, Canada or Chile? I think talent-wise, Canada is better. Coaching-wise, Chile is better. I think Gareca is better than the American coach, Jesse Marsch, the very stubborn American coach, Jesse Marsch. However, I don't think Chile matches out with teams that can thrive with physicality and also play in transition, which is something Canada can do. And with Jesse Marsch, they will be very physical, they will press, and they'll have players like Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, Tajon Buchanan. I think Chile will struggle with the energy that Canada can bring and their pressing tactics. With that said, I'm going to place the order of the teams in this group as follows. Argentina in first, Canada in second, Chile in third, and Peru in fourth. And I will say this, the Canada match against Chile might be what decides the second place of this group. Because outside of that, I would fully expect Argentina to get 7 to 9 points, probably 9 points. They should win all three games. If they don't, it's a major upset. So once again, Argentina, Canada in second, then Chile in third, and then Peru in fourth. It could go either way between Chile and Canada, but I'm going to go with the rude Canadians. Next up, we have Group B that has Ecuador, Mexico, Venezuela, and Jamaica. And Group B is by far the most balanced group in this Copa America. And it's also a group that doesn't really have any legit title contender. And it's also full of soccer terrorists. No, seriously. These teams all struggle to score goals. No exception. They're very good, all four of them, but they all have major issues when it comes to scoring goals. And right away, I want to start talking about the last place team in this group, which is Jamaica. I think they're going to finish 4th. And I'm not even going to call them Jamaica. I called them Voltorb in a previous video because they just always use self-destruct, they self-implode. I might just start calling them Self-Implosion FC. Jamaica is super talented, and they have players like Ethan Pinnock, Mikel Antonio, Damari Gray, Andre Blake. The team is good. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, and even Leon Bailey, which the national team actually called him in, and they even announced him in the roster. And then a couple hours after, Leon Bailey went to Instagram because he had retired from the national team because of the mess that the federation is. And then he kind of put it that was fake news. He's not going to play in the Copa America. He is tired of the bullshit from the federation, and he's not going to play. I'm not going to dive into details, but Leon Bailey, their best player, won't be there. Now, Jamaica is super talented. One can even argue they might even be the most talented team on paper in this group. But they're currently coached by a decent Icelandic dentist. He's also a dentist. But at the end of the day, the mess that they are, we just know they're going to self-implode. And for that reason, I have Jamaica finishing in 4th. Then it leaves us with Ecuador, Mexico, and Venezuela fighting for the top 2 spots. To me, Ecuador is the best team in this group. They have Moises Caicedo, fantastic midfielder, a great supporting cast surrounding him, Piero Hincapié helping that back line that plays for Bayer Leverkusen, and then you also have Kendry Páez up top, one of the top wonder kids in South America right now that's heading to Chelsea next year when he turns 18. Kendry Páez can be a difference maker. They're currently coached by Felix Sanchez, which coached the Qatari national team in the previous cycle in the 2022 World Cup, and I think he can get the best out of them. If he doesn't play the back 3, he goes with the 4-2-3-1, I think it can work. But if he goes with the back 3, Ecuador hasn't looked good when they play that way, and that's how he used to play with Qatar, which is not really a back 3, it's more of a back 5. The wing backs stay super deep. Regardless, I think he can get the best out of this team playing transition, but like the other teams in this group, Ecuador also struggles to score. However, I have Ecuador going 1st, which leaves Venezuela and Mexico battling for that 2nd spot. Now, in the past, it would have been very easy. Mexico over Venezuela. But Mexico has the worst generation that I've ever seen them have. Like, they're horrible. Outside of Edson Alvarez and maybe Santi Jimenez. Edson Alvarez is really good. And Santi Jimenez is really good for Feyenoord, but he kind of sucks for the national team. So it's a bit complicated right there. He doesn't even start for them. But anyhow, worst Mexican generation. And Venezuela, that normally is the punching bag of South America, with Bolivia, they've been fine. They've been doing well in World Cup qualifying. They tied Brazil away, so they could put up a fight against Mexico. However, I will give El Tri the benefit of the doubt. So I have Ecuador finishing 1st, Mexico, because they're also going to be playing at home. The Mexican crowd will show up here in the United States and they will pack the stadiums, so they will have home field advantage, the Mexican national team. They also play most of their games or friendlies in the United States, so they're used to it. So I have Mexico in 2nd, Venezuela in 3rd, and then Self-Implosion FC, Voltorb, aka Jamaica, in 4th. And one quick thing, as I said, I don't think any of the teams in Group B are title contenders by any means, but Ecuador, for example, is a team that, given the right day, with the right circumstances, they are capable of knocking out title contenders. But I don't think the champion or the winner of the Copa America will come from Group B. Next up, we have Group C that has Uruguay, United States, Panama, and Bolivia. And this group is very top half heavy. What do I mean by that? The US and Uruguay are the clear favorites. And if any of them fail to get out of the group, their coaching staff should probably get fired. US or Uruguay. Even Marcelo Bielsa in charge of Uruguay. Now, Uruguay is red hot in World Cup qualifying. They defeated Argentina. They defeated Brazil. They're re-energized by Marcelo Bielsa being in charge, and they have world-class players. Like Valverde is there. Darwin Núñez is an elite center forward. And you have great players like Roland Araujo. Anyhow, I could go on forever. Ugarte, Rascaeta that plays for Flamengo. They have brilliant players. I'm not going to name all of them. And they are legit title contenders for the Copa America. And I mean, them along with Argentina are the 2 national teams that have won the Copa America the most, more than Brazil. So Uruguay is definitely one of the favorites, and I think they will top Group C. With that said, the number 2 seed, unless I want to get fancy and say that there will be an upset and Panama and Bolivia will figure out a way to knock down the United States under Greg Berhalter, it just won't happen. The US will be playing at home, and they have so many talented players like Christian Pulisic, Giovanni Reina, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Tim Weah. The list goes on. The US has a bunch of players playing the best leagues in the world. Panama, well coached by Thomas Christensen, even though he has shown to be a bit naive. We saw that in the Nations League semifinals when they lost to Mexico, and then the US went on to trash Mexico. I don't see the US not beating Panama in the United States. And then there's Bolivia, where without their best player, La Paz, the altitude, I'm sorry, the US should beat Bolivia and should probably be able to manage to finish top 2 in this group. So right now, if you ask me, I have Uruguay in first because I think they should be able to beat the United States, especially after what we saw in the friendlies, the US playing Colombia and Brazil. I don't see them pulling an upset against Uruguay, but then the US would probably finish ahead of Panama and Bolivia. So it would be Uruguay, USA, Panama, and then Bolivia finishing last. I'm sorry, Venezuela improved, but Bolivia, the altitude merchants, are still the punching bag of this edition of the Copa America. Now Group D. And here's the thing. Group D is also very top half heavy with Colombia and Brazil, and then the bottom is much weaker with Costa Rica and Paraguay, similar to Group C. The difference between Group D and C is that only Uruguay in Group C is a legit title contender. The United States is not. While Group D, Colombia and Brazil are legit title contenders. Now, of course, Paraguay can cause some trouble, right? Miguel Miron plays for them, and Ciso is a very good prospect to watch out. Gustavo Gomes from Palmeiras, a great center back. They have some good players, but I do think ultimately Brazil and Colombia should be able to defeat Paraguay with some comfort, especially a red-hot Colombia that hasn't lost a single game since 2022, and at that time they lost to Argentina, the same Argentina that won the World Cup a couple months later. Colombia is red hot, and they tied Uruguay in World Cup qualifying. They defeated Brazil, 2 goal scores by Luis Diaz. They also ran over the US men's national team in a friendly prior to the Copa America. So I actually have Colombia topping the group. Brazil, that is a bit in a shaky moment right now. They had a terrible 2023. Then they signed Dorival Jr. as their new head coach, an experienced old coach in Brazil, which I think he's worse than Nestor Lorenzo, the current coach for Colombia. And here's the reason why. Nestor Lorenzo is from Argentina. Dorival Jr. is from Brazil. I think talent-wise, Brazil and Argentina clash. It's very close, very even. But when it comes to coaching, Argentina beats Brazil by a landslide. And Nestor Lorenzo is another one of those. He's a better coach than Dorival. Dorival is not bad by any means, but I just don't think he is good enough to lead this Brazil team to success. Could they win the Copa America? Sure, the talent is there. Look at the Brazilian national team. Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Bruno Guimarães, Lucas Paquetá, Marquinhos. The talent is there. Rafinha, Endrick off the bench. But ultimately, I have Colombia finishing first, Brazil finishing second, and then Paraguay and Costa Rica. I'm going to put Costa Rica because they're led by Gustavo Alfaro, the former Ecuador national team coach from the last cycle. I'm going to put them in third place, even though they won't really have Keylor Navas. Their golden generation is long gone, but I'll have Costa Rica in third because I liked what I saw from them in the 2022 World Cup. This team finds a way to get results, even though they got trashed by Germany. Was it Germany or was it Spain? I can't remember which one trashed Costa Rica right now. They got trashed one game, then they beat Japan, bounced back, and then I think they gave Germany a hard time in the last one. But anyhow, I have Brazil second, so Colombia first. Then after that, Costa Rica third, and Paraguay in fourth place. Okay, now let's go to the bracket. But before we get to the bracket, don't forget to smash the like button and comment your group stage predictions. Okay, so here's a bracket that I just pulled out of my ass here from FootMob, and before we even continue, we kind of have to drag and put the teams in the position that we had. So let's go through it real quick. For Group A, I had Argentina in first, Canada second, Chile third, Peru fourth. Now for Group B, I had Ecuador in first and had Mexico in second, Jamaica in fourth, and Venezuela in third. So there it is, Group B. Now Group C, whoa, Bolivia first, that's wrong. So let's put Uruguay in first, USA in second, and then Panama in third, and Bolivia in fourth. Last but not least, we have Group D. It was Colombia first, Brazil second, Costa Rica third, and then Paraguay fourth. Now we can move on and go to the bracket. So for the bracket in the quarterfinals, on one side of the bracket, we have Groups A and B. They're all on one side. And then Groups C and D are all on the other side. So you can match in the semifinals with teams that were in the same group as you. So when we go in towards this, on one side, we have Mexico and Argentina. And let's just be honest here. Argentina and Mexico, we know how that ends. It's always Argentina advancing in the knockout rounds. There's a big talent gap. There's a big coaching gap there, too, between Scaloni and Jamie Lozano. And look, I don't have to justify this pick. Argentina will advance. Mexico L3 is out. And Mexico should be happy that they got out of their group with this horrible generation that they currently have. Now, Group B, the winner of Group B faces the second place of Group A. And this is an interesting matchup because I believe Ecuador is better than Canada. And many people would disagree with me here, but I actually have Canada advancing to the semifinals. This will be a game where Jesse Marsh will try to, he'll get the best out of this Canadian side. They'll be very physical. They'll probably play in transition. We saw Canada be dangerous in transition against the Dutch and against the French in the two friendlies prior to the Copa America. They will advance. Canada will make it to the semifinals. Ecuador will have to take the initiative here, and I think that's where they'll lose. Canada will beat Ecuador in transition. And honestly, when you look at it on paper, Ecuador has a more balanced roster. But if you look at Canada, they have enough talent to punish Ecuador with the likes of Tejan Buchanan, Alfonso Davies, Kyle Larin, Jonathan David, Stefano Stacchio, all these players. Of course, Ecuador still has great players too. And don't forget, Ecuador will be missing Pervis Estupinan. So I have Canada advancing to the semifinals, and they will face Argentina. The other matchups are Uruguay versus Brazil. I believe Brazil will knock out Uruguay. Brazil will advance. I think Uruguay, even though they defeated Brazil in World Cup qualifying, they're a tad bit overhyped right now. Look, they are legit contenders for the Copa America, and they could knock out Brazil. Don't get me wrong. But I have Brazil knocking out Uruguay. This is my pick. And then the other game will be Colombia versus United States. And remember one thing, when Uruguay knocked out Brazil, Brazil didn't really have a coach. Not knocked out, defeated them in World Cup qualifying. I know Dorival ain't perfect, but having a coach brings more stability, and I think Brazil should be able to knock out Uruguay, which means Uruguay will be knocked out in the quarterfinals once again. In the last edition, Uruguay was knocked out, I believe, by Colombia in the quarterfinals on penalty shootouts. And then you have Colombia and the United States. And I know it was just a friendly, but let's be honest here. There's no evidence. There's nothing that brings us to believe that the U.S. could upset Colombia. The United States has no signature wins, no upsets under Greg Berhalter. They just lost to Colombia literally in a friendly right now this month, 5-1 in the United States. I don't think it'll be that bad if they face each other in the quarterfinals. It'll be much closer. But I just don't see the U.S. beating this Colombian side that hasn't lost a single game since 2022. So for that reason, I have Colombia advancing. That brings us to the semifinals. And in the semifinals, these are the matchups. Argentina versus Canada and Brazil versus Colombia. Look, rude Canadians, be happy that you made it here, but this is where the road ends. Argentina will advance to the final and play the final of the Copa America in Miami, Florida. Lionel Messi, ticket prices will be insane. $1,500, $2,000 per ticket, something like that. I'm definitely not going. If you go, good for you. You probably have a lot of money, or you're just not smart with your money, one or another. Well, I'm also not smart with my money. But anyhow, and then we have Brazil and Colombia. And I'll tell you this, I had Colombia topping the group, and I could get all fancy right now and just say, you know what? In the group stage, Colombia will defeat Brazil. But in the semifinals, Brazil will defeat Colombia. But here's the thing. I haven't seen also any evidence that this Brazilian side will get it going enough to defeat this red-hot Colombia. And I know many of you are going to say, well, but you had Brazil defeating Uruguay. I do think Uruguay is a tad bit overhyped. And as good as Bielsa is, his man-marking press is very predictable. And if the coach scouts and prepares, you know where you're going to get against Uruguay, despite having brilliant players, that national team. And I should never underestimate Uruguay, by the way. They could very well make it to the semifinals and to the final. With that said, I have Brazil and Colombia. I have Colombia advancing to the Copa America final, which leads us to the third place match between, bronze final, I guess that's what they're calling it, between Canada and Brazil. Brazil, I don't know what they would do. They'd probably put their subs. Endrick could probably start this game. I think Brazil would get probably third place. It's Canada is essentially in this edition what the United States was in 2016. Remember, the U.S. knocked out Ecuador, made it to the semifinals, got crushed by Argentina, the United States in 2016, which is what will happen to Canada in the semifinals. And then the United States also lost the bronze final. And I think that's what's going to happen to Canada here. They'll lose the bronze final, the third place, to Brazil. And then you have the final between Argentina and Colombia. This final can go either way. It's a tough matchup, very tough matchup for either side. With Argentina, obviously with Messi and a team that's accustomed to these moments, especially because they just won the World Cup, they just won the Copa America, Argentina will most likely win it in Miami. I would love to see Argentina lose the Copa America in the United States once again, just like they lost to Chile's golden generation back in 2016. But I think Argentina will win the Copa America in the final against Colombia. And then the predictor is gone. And that's all, okay? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who will win the Copa America with this bracket that I just showed you? All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go, and don't forget to subscribe. We will be doing a full coverage of the Copa America, mainly focused on the U.S. men's national team in Brazil, but we will be covering the overall tournament, doing previews for the quarterfinals, semifinals, final, live watch-alongs, and much more. Don't forget to comment your predictions down below. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.